everyone, and welcome to today's capsule on the fundamentals of grievances and issues management. Today's video is going to be on managing commitments and their related workflows. I bet by now you've at least created one commitment inside of Borealis, and you're wondering, well, how do I start moving it down that workflow you talked about? What do I do to be moving it from open to in progress? How do I do that? Well, this video's for you. It's going to show you everything you need to know about moving your commitments and managing them correctly down the workflow inside of Borealis. Really excited to show you. Let's get into it. So here is a commitment that we created in our last video, the introduction of commitments. The reason I opened it is because I want to highlight that every time you do create a commitment inside of Borealis, it will always be set with the status of open. Now, the first step would be to assess this commitment and move it so that we've acknowledged that it's there, we've assigned a risk potentially to it or a target date of completion, and we're ready to start doing the work on it. There's actually a whole workflow process. I'm going to take us to the help desk right now just to show you where we are, where we hope to be, and it's going to help us keep track of everything. So I'll see you in the help desk in just a second. So here we are at our help desk, and I'm at an article called Workflow for Commitments. It's going to actually have a lot of the information in it that I'm going to talk to you about in this video. You can see we have a chart here. This is why I'm at the article. I just wanted to show you that workflow that I've been talking about. So let's open it up. So we started here where we were creating our commitment, and then after you create it, it becomes open. Now, I mentioned we're going to need to assess the commitment and move it to in progress, and then from there we can close it or refer it to an external mechanism and then close it, and we always have the option to reopen our commitment. So what we're looking to do now again is move it from open, assess it, so that it becomes in progress. This is actually very similar to the issues workflow that we talked about in a previous video inside of this capsule as well. So we're back at our close gate after leaving property commitment. We made a promise that if we were to go on any landowner's land that we would close their gates so that maybe their livestock doesn't get out or makes it harder for trespassers to get in potentially. So this is a commitment we made. We need to assess it now and assign a target completion date to it and move it down the chain. So most of that is done here in the actions menu under the workflow area, and we have just the option to assess. So let's click on it and get down to assessing this commitment. Okay, so now that we have the assessment menu opened, we first need to apply the assessment date. As always, it's generated automatically to today's date, but if you did assess it on another day somewhere else, maybe in Excel maybe, and you want to enter that date, you can change the assessment date by clicking here. You can apply subject categories as well. Any subject categories that this may apply to. Maybe this has to do with land, for example, because you're accessing their land. You can assign a risk and a priority if needed, and a target date, which would be a date that you plan to close the commitment. So you're probably wondering, well, if it's this gate access commitment that I'm making, this might be project long. So what I would suggest is then to set this to the project end date if known. If not, you could always just configure this to not be a mandatory field and you could just leave it blank, but then you won't benefit from those overdue filters or those due in a week filters that I showed you in the introduction video. So since this is a project long commitment and maybe it's only a 6-month project, I'll just put it about 6 months out, saying that after this date, this commitment is done and we could probably close it off. Now, I had another commitment here, maybe one that might need to be actioned in a couple of weeks. That might not be a project-long commitment. I just wanted to assess it the same way, but show you that we could set the target date as well to say, well, we promised the stakeholders to clean dust and debris off their property, and we said we would do it in 2 weeks. So we could actually set the target date for this commitment to be 2 weeks out. We could assign a priority and risk as mentioned. and any subject categories like I showed you in the other commitment. So we're just going to hit assess, and I want you just to pay attention to the opened, and it should move now to in progress. So a few things have changed. The follow-up area has appeared, and the assessment area has appeared as well, keeping track of our assessments. Also, the actions menu would have changed as well. We have a refer to external mechanism and close now available in the workflow. We'll go back to the Help Center in a minute just to talk about that and show you where we are in the process. So at this stage, you could still add in stakeholders as well that will be involved in the commitment. After you create one, whether it's open or in progress, you can add in stakeholders. In this case, maybe you just want to tag the stakeholders' houses that you plan to go and I guess clean up. So we could just add in a few people. We could also check this create another box here, and it'll let us just keep adding stakeholders like that as well. Just a cool tip. This also works for those project long commitments because you can tag in stakeholders as you make the same promise to them. So as you get more access to different land, you may need to add in more landowners that you promise to keep their gate closed. So this is also a way that you could just add in other stakeholders that you just may want to keep track of a promise that was made to them, maybe informal or formal. Linking records to this commitment is very similar to issues where you have the areas here and you could just use the green plus button to create a new record or link an existing one. If you're using the Outlook add-in as well, you can link the communication to this commitment here as well. The follow-up area is where you could just enter your follow-ups. So I've just clicked on it here, and to do so, you could just use one of the green plus buttons. You could maybe enter, a feedback that you sent to stakeholder, an action that's being taken. This list is customizable. We could just say, I'm leaving a general note here today. It's me, and I'm just saying we will be sending clean up. Okay, so I'm done typing up here, just saying we're sending a cleanup crew to clean the lots, and I'll hit save here as well, and you'll see that it enters as a follow-up. Now that we know a cleanup crew is going to repair the dust and debris damage on the lots, we can actually action the next step of this commitment. So let's go to the Help Center now, like I mentioned, and we'll take a look at where we are. So we're back at our workflow for commitments article. We currently assessed our commitment and now it's in progress, and we know or have taken some steps to start fulfilling the promise or making sure that it's kept. We said that we're going to send a cleanup crew to clean up the debris. Maybe we can just move this to an external mechanism just to list that it's with somebody else to solve right now outside of our company. Maybe the cleanup crew doesn't work directly for our company. Please also note that you do have the option to move from in progress to closed as well. So if you were able to solve it without an external mechanism, just close it right off as well. But let me show you both steps. We're going to head right back into Borealis. Okay, so to move to an external mechanism or to close off right away, as mentioned, it's available here in the Actions menu. So I could reassess this commitment as things progress. Maybe it changes. Maybe there's a new law about dust in the area or something, and it becomes more critical to keep this promise. You can always reassess your commitment. I just want to make note of that. As well, you can now refer to an external mechanism to say that this is with somebody else to solve outside of the company. So we'll just click on it. We can leave a company saying with, or a comment saying with contractor, and then just click refer. And now notice that it moves from in progress to refer to an external mechanism. Now, say it's been about a couple of weeks and the team has gone out, they've done the cleanup, and we're all set. The stakeholders said all good. So now we can close this commitment off. We kept this promise. What we do is we can use the Actions menu here and click Close. The completion date has to be today or a date in the past, so we'll just select today for this example. It cannot be a date in the future. We can record the stakeholder satisfaction. Note that when I do select this, it gives me the option to put stakeholder feedback. This could be configured to be unmandatory. So I just put in all good, cleanup was nice. That's kind of the general consensus from the stakeholders. I would put the completion type as fulfilled, saying we've fulfilled this promise, all good. And the last step here is to hit close. Now notice that the commitment is closed off. I cannot add stakeholders or link records or do follow-ups anymore now that it's closed. If I want to do that, I would need to go to actions here and reopen the commitment. We obviously have a lot of supporting analytics as well to help you track where these commitments are, what's due, what's critical, what's not. Talk to your super user or your care specialist, and they'll be able to help you out with that. But that's all for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed showing you about the workflow of commitments. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next video.